Data cards can be a great way to play Warhammer 40k, making everything easier by giving you all the information you need right on this card. However, the cards themselves can be a little complicated if you don't already know what all this information means. So I'm going to walk you through exactly what each of these numbers mean and show you exactly how useful these things can be. Also, we're going to walk through a mock battle to show you exactly what these numbers do in-game. So come with me. This is what a datasheet looks like. Here we have our unit's name and its basic stats. We also see its weapon stats, which we're going to use when making attacks. We can see the abilities over here on the right side that our units come with, as well as keywords at the bottom that help us define our models for rule purposes. For this example, we're looking at a Space Marine unit that carry auto-hitting flamethrowers, called Infernus Marines. Let's look at their basic stats first. All 40k units have this line of stats here, and it's likely to be the most referenced part of the datasheet when playing the game. M here stands for movement in inches. This means models in our unit can move 6 inches during the movement phase of their turn, which is pretty average for infantry. Other units like monsters or vehicles can often move up to 10 or 12 inches. Next to movement is T for toughness. Toughness is a stat that your opponents will ask you for most often, as it relates to the difficulty their weapons will have to inflict a wound or deal damage to your units. A higher toughness, the more difficult it'll be for the damage to go through. Next to toughness is SV, standing for armor save. This refers to the quality of the unit's armor and is the number on the die that you must roll in order to ignore an incoming wound. The lower the number is here, the higher chance you have to then ignore a wound. Next, we have W, standing for wounds. This is how much damage a single model in your unit can take before it's destroyed. Think of it as each model's hit points. Next is the leadership stat. This is the required number you need to roll in order for your unit to pass a battle shock test, which is something you're going to want to pass. If they fail, they can't hold objectives or use stratagems until they pass the test on another turn. Finally, we have OC, or Objective Control. This is how many points each model in your unit contributes towards capturing the objective. If you have more OC than your opponents on an objective, it's yours. Let's cut to our mock battle so we can see examples of abilities and weapon profiles. Check out the Neurotyrant's abilities. Here, under Core, meaning it's not a faction-specific ability, you'll see the word Leader. Leader is an ability that many character units have, and it allows them to be attached to another unit at the start of the game. It says here who the Neurotyrant can be attached to, and in this case, it's the Neurogaunts. Now that we're set up for battle, let's use our first ranged weapon. The Neurotyrant has his Psychic Scream, and much like Space Marine flamethrowers, it automatically hits its targets, so it has no ballistic skill or hit roll. It also has a range of 18 inches, which we're definitely within. However, it does require us to roll 2d6 for the number of A attacks that it has. So let's roll that now. After rolling our dice, we get a number of 7 for our total number of attacks. Since we automatically hit, we have no need to roll for that. However, we do need to wound these pesky Space Marines. To wound, we compare the strength of our weapon to the toughness of our target. In this case, that's a strength of 5 to a toughness of 4. Since the strength is higher than the toughness, it'll be easier to wound the target. Looking at this chart, we can tell that the strength is greater than the toughness, but it's not twice greater. So we need 3s or better to wound. Let's roll that now and see what we get. It appears that 5 of our dice are 3 or higher, so we can count those as successes. Now the Space Marines get the opportunity to use their armor save to try and ignore the damage. By default, they have a 3+ armor save. However, the Neurotyrant's weapon has -1 AP, or armor penetration, meaning that it subtracts 1 from the Space Marine's die roll. This leaves the Space Marines needing to roll 4s or better to ignore the incoming wounds. Let's roll these now, looking for 4s or higher. Not a bad roll, only 2 fails and 3 successes. That's 3 wounds the Space Marines successfully avoided. Unfortunately for the Space Marines, not all wounds deal the same number of damage, and the Neurotyrant here deals 2 damage per wound. That means 2 dead Space Marines, as each Space Marine can take up to 2 damage before being destroyed, as we saw earlier in the wounds category.
Let's give the Space Marines a chance to get some vengeance by giving them a shooting round of their own. They also have D6 auto-hitting attacks, but this time it's per model, so that's 3 D6 attacks. Let's see what we get. Yeah, that could have been better. At least now that we have our number of attacks, we can go to the wound roll. That means we're comparing the strength of our Space Marine flamethrowers, which is 5, to the toughness of our Neurogaunts, which is 3. Since 5 is greater, but not double, we're looking for 3s to wound. Let's go ahead and roll that. Not bad, that's 5 successful wounds from the flamethrowers. Now, just like last time, the Neurogaunts get to make a saving throw to try and ignore the damage. They're going to be using their 6-up save, since the flamethrowers have no armor penetration. So that means every 6 here will be a wound ignored. Well, we got 1, so that's 1 wound ignored, but that's 4 dead Neurogaunts. The tyranids aren't finished, however. Using their infiltrator ability, the Von Ryan Leapers have been hiding behind this building. Infiltrator is another ability, like Leader, that means the Von Ryan Leapers could be deployed anywhere on the battlefield as long as they're 9 inches away from an enemy unit. Now, the Von Ryan Leapers can use their 10 inches of movement to get as close as possible to the Space Marines. They're really only a melee unit, so they're going to need to make a charge in order to do some damage to these guys. To make a charge, we roll 2 dice, and it has to equal the distance between our unit and the enemy's. In this case, we got 7, and we needed exactly 7 or higher, so the Von Ryan Leapers have made their charge. The Von Ryan Leapers have pretty dangerous Leaper talons. They each get 6 attacks. However, this time they have a weapon skill, meaning we have to roll a dice to hit, and then another roll to wound, and then the Space Marines get to make their saving throw. 6 attacks times 3 models is 18 attacks, and we're looking for 3s to hit. That's a lot of hits. However, now we need to roll for wounds. We pick up those 12 successful hits, and because the strength is higher than the toughness once again, we're looking for 3s to wound. Ouch, that's a very even wound roll. 7 wounds, 7 fails. Those talons do have -1 AP, which affects the Space Marine save, making it a 4+ save to ignore the damage. Let's see if those Space Marines can make it out, and ooh, doesn't seem like it. 1 save and 6 wounds, that's going to kill the whole unit. Since each Marine has 2 wounds and there's 6 total, all 3 of them are gone. Looks like that's the end of the Space Marines. Except, do you guys hear that? What, a teleport homer? Oh, a whole unit of Terminators. We should get out of here. I think things are going to get messy. If you have any comments about data cards or anything Warhammer related, leave them down in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and answer all of those. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care.